Hi, everybody. I just wanted to, as I promised before, if you watched the last video, I was in my car and I promised that I'm going to be going through the Galactic logos, which I'll give you a quick summary. Basically, I was talking about we as a species on this planet have created different kind of rules and, I would say artificial rules and regulations that are kind of separate from the rest of the universe. And those rules that actually are here right now have enslaved humanity for a really, really long time. And as we are going through these shifts of consciousness with our journey, our galactic journey, and we are all of us one way or another experienced this from, especially in the past since 2012 till now. Things have been accelerating. The time has been accelerating, and the shift of consciousness has been also accelerating. And all of these are causing basically us to move into a higher level of consciousness, and at the same time to be able to change and recreate a new reality that is beneficial, not only just for us, but all the beings that are connected to us through this galactic arena that we are living right now. And I'm talking about all these races that are there throughout the galaxy, all the people that, all even different races, not only humans, that are genetically connected to us. And when you're looking at the vehicle, which is the body, that through that genetic connection, you actually interface with the consciousness that is within your being to any being that is genetically connected to you. So just by us being here as a consciousness from the divine source, we are actually helping other species to actually go through this phase and really understand what it means to go through these changes. And basically, the artificial rules that are currently on the planet, governing this planet since hundreds of thousands of years ago, and all of that is is going to become obsolete, because if it's not going to be obsolete, it's going to basically self-destruct. And we are in a junction point where it's time to really step up, and not only at a group level, but also at the individual level. Like everyone of you that are watching, Gabrielle, Tinra, and other people that are going to be watching this video right now, every one of us has to step up and go act and be, I would say, a more complete version of who you are and what you can do in this cosmic journey that we are having. So as part of, when you have an artificial planet, artificial basically rules and regulation through certain regions of the universe that are completely separate from the central galaxy or the central sun, it will basically, they exist for some time. They create their own reality as part of this grand, great scale of reality that we live in, which is the galactic logos. And then there is a beginning and there's an end to that reality. And the beginning of that is basically, the beginning of that reality started when the dimensions basically collapsed. There was an accident since the time of Atlantis, which John Ball actually talks about it. If you watch John Ball Melchizedek's video on Birth of the New Humanity, he talks about a time during Atlantis where through creation of artificial Merkaba, which is a 2-tetrahedron, which every living being has, by the way. Like every one of you have that organic field, energy field around your body, which protects you and also is responsible for taking you through the different levels of dimensions externally as your consciousness explores this reality. So there was a time during Atlantis where they created this artificial, I would say, Merkaba, and that Merkaba caused certain regions or dimensions to collapse and mix with other dimensions of reality. And basically, imagine your body as an organ, okay? You have a brain, you have like eyes, you have the digestive system, you have your heart, you have your legs, you have, other parts of your body. And imagine like every part of your body has certain fluid and certain chemicals and certain ratio of chemicals that are responsible for maintaining the balance within your body. So imagine if through that dimensional change that I was talking about, somebody actually came in and ripped apart a part of your body to the rest of your body. So what it does, it actually mixes the wrong fluid together and basically creates a mayhem and also create a lot of destructions. And that's what it happened at that time. There was a technology that brought here on the planet at that time from a different race, that the branch of that was based on Mars. And what caused to happen was that technology and the area of that technology is somewhere around Bermuda Triangle. So there's a lot of anomalies happen during our history in Bermuda Triangle. And the technology, the center point of that technology that was created back then, basically created artificial Merkaba, and the centerpiece of that Merkaba was Bermuda Triangle. So what it did, it collapsed time, dimension, and it brought, let's say, a lower consciousness beings into where our species basically mixed the lower consciousness species with the people that were at that time having a higher consciousness. We were evolving at a fast rate during the Atlantis time, and we were actually going to go to the next phase, or the 5D version of our existence, till that accident happened at that time. And that was, as I was saying, there was a group that were didn't know what they were doing. They were experimenting with artificial Merkaba and artificial intelligence and all that stuff. And they created something in the class time and dimension, and that caused a lot of mayhem. And we needed a lot of help to recover from that point. And there were certain ascended masters, and there were teachers and advanced beings, and also beings from other races that actually helped us during that time to restore to some extent and patch it, kind of like, when you get an injury or you get a head wound or something, somebody stitches you together and they patch you up, and it will take time to heal, and we're actually going through the time of healing right now. So it took us, I would say, thousands of years to go through that process of healing since the time of Atlantis. And we are kind of on the verge of this new beginning, a new birth. And when I remember when I was a kid, and I still remember when I was even in the womb of my mom, I remember I have some flashbacks. And I tell people about this, and people actually say, how do you remember that? And I'm a very visual person. I remember things visually. So it's like I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was growing, and I was feeling restricted because through that birth that I was having, I was feeling that there is more, but I was becoming bigger and bigger, but at the same time becoming restricted, because there was just pitch black when I was basically being born. And that's what is happening right now. We are feeling that we are restricted, and we are feeling that we're kind of powerless, and we want out of this. So whatever is restricting us, because we are growing and we are growing our consciousness, so we want to see more of what is happening outside this reality. And as I was saying, just going back to the topic of galactic logos, because the central piece is the galactic logos and what's happening around that. And also David Wilcock talked about it a few weeks ago in one of the episodes. Corey talks about it with the experiences that he had, through his journey with different beings, and also blue avians and so forth. So everything kind of ties in together. And I would like this to be a more experiential than you guys here, like watching me, and I'm just kind of giving a one-sided lecture. So I would like you to really experience, the discourses that are coming, and there's 13 of them. And so the first one is unity. Everything comes from unity, that central point of love and light and oneness that we are. And then we go, if you experience the galactic logos, you understand that there's, out of that one, there's 12 core laws or galactic logos laws that surround us. And everybody in the entire universe abide by those laws, and they can't go against it because they live in that structure, except for this artificial reality that we created, as I was saying, by creation of the artificial Merkaba somewhere near Bermuda Triangle. And a lot of these planes that disappeared in Bermuda Triangle and whatnot, they reappear some other place. So the time they go in and out of dimensions around that area. So that's what's happening. It's a multi-dimensional portal, and not necessarily to the best way. It's been sealed off around that area to protect it. But at the same time, while that's being sealed, that sealing has caused a barrier to be placed between our solar system and outside basically where we connect to the galactic logos. Because when in order to create that segregation of dimensions, they had to put one in there, and then they had to put another around it, because everything is kind of, how can I say, it's kind of like planning. When you look at stepping down 2 dimensions, like if you go 1 dimension, like you have a paper and you put a dot in and you create a line, and then you create another line, and then when you want to create a dimension, you just create a new axis and you just bring it up, and you have a 3-dimensional phase. So everything that happens here kind of happens above. They say as above, so below, or as below, so above, something like that. So that's what happened, and that protection that is being put place to kind of sustain it kind of sealed this reality to the outside cosmic reality, because it was contaminated as a result of a mixing of different beings in different dimensions. Imagine, you bring snakes or spiders into your house. It's not going to be a pleasant experience. You're going to have a lot of fear. You got to get rid of them. You got to take them out so your house is pure, so you can live, because you're not compatible with one another. So that's what happened. A lot of these entities, and when you go to the principle of unity, all beings are sacred, all beings are one, and all beings have their own place in this universe. But what has happened is that these beings traverse to this dimension, and they have created a lot of disharmony, because they're not compatible with where we are, and they're confused what's going on, because they're not, those beings are not, basically, they're just a different kind of being. They have a different habitat. So that's the dilemma that we are going right now in this time. And I might going in and out of the picture because of the software that I'm using. But anyway, there's a lot of I would say since beginning of the confusion, what's happened is that there has been a lot of disharmony, a lot of troubles, a lot of wars, a lot of different ideologies around different things, because these beings have managed to attach themselves, their consciousness, to our consciousness, or different bodies that are there, and they kind of interface. And to some extent, some of these beings do control certain other beings that are on this planet, and they form groups, they form cartels, they basically group themselves, and based on their what they learn in their history, they bring that knowledge and they take control of how things are supposed to be. And they're kind of like a binary. Like when you look at the human emotion, we have a whole range of emotions. We have millions of different emotions during the day. But with these beings, they have one to three different kind of they're kind of binary beings, because as you step down the dimensions, if you played chess, when you add 1 plus 1, it becomes 2. Then you multiply 2 by 2, then it becomes 4. 4 by 4 becomes 16, and then it goes up. So the beings that are in the lower dimensions have lesser numbers of emotion once you look at the law of probability. And in this dimension, we almost an infinite number of probabilities and how can things come about. But in itself, it is limited to the law of numbers. So because the number in itself has a limitation, unless you go back to the unity, which actually converges everything into the one point, and from that one point, you'll understand like the whole existence of who you are. And in galactic logos, so I want you to experience that when you imagine you're living on this planet, then come back to your country, then go back to your city, look into the house, bring your awareness to the house that you're sitting, and bring your awareness to the body that you're occupying, so the room that you're sitting and the body that you're occupying. Then bring your attention to look at your skin, okay? So bring your attention to your left hand or your right hand, it doesn't matter, depending on which one you feel you're comfortable with. And then look at your skin and just go inside that skin, and it's like going through a microscope. So with the microscope of your mind, tune in and just zoom in and zoom in and zoom in till you see the molecules that are creating your skin, okay? And as you go through that process, from that point, step down and come down to the point where you see the atoms that are binding that skin, and then the subatomic particles, and then you go step down, and you go to boson particles, which is the smallest particle that can come into this reality. And also, if you go way beyond that, you go to the quantum field, where it's just vibration and frequency basically are one thing. So once you come to that point, you will go and you find something a lot of scientists talk about, which is ether. And ether is the basically a binding block of everything, the entire universe. So everything in this universe, including our bodies, everything we see, even our own soul, our ego, and the idea of separateness, and all the ideas that we have, and all these dimensions that are there, and all the different beings that are living to different levels of their reality, they are made up of the same ether particle. And that particle is the source of all consciousness, the source of all probabilities that it allows it to be, and the source of basically everything that happens, including time, space, dimension, and the place of timelessness and void, and basically where beingness and non-beingness come into a point of transcendence and or non-existence. So it's kind of like a four. It has 4 points. So whichever you go in the universe, you have 4 points. And the first thing is to realize the unity of yourself with the entire universe. Once you realize that, it doesn't matter. You could be any being from any dimension. As I'm talking right now, I'm talking interdimensionally and multidimensionally, because we are not the only people that are watching this right now, and we are not only the people that are aware of this reality. We are evolving together right now, and we are understanding more about ourselves, and also the connection that we have right now with the entire cosmos, which is very exciting. And one of the main things that the cosmos or the galactic logos allowed was the free will as part of its journey that it had by itself. So it took responsibility. I said, what would be the consequences of us? Right now we feel one, we're in complete harmony and everything is absolutely perfect. What if we wanted to experience imperfection? And what if we wanted to experience chaos, which is opposite to what the source is and who you are? Basically, any other beings that are actually in this reality and they're confused and things are messed up, they are confused because it has created a hierarchical structure in which there is a struggle for power, and every group, because when you look at everybody, every group is seeking some kind of harmony within themselves, and that goes into basically kind of like a takeover, or actually everybody wants to rule the planet. There was a song that Duran song that talks about it, and it came out, it says everybody wants to basically rule the world, and every being, including they call them the 13 tribe of man, all of them are coming from one aspect or different aspects of, I don't want to go too much there because it's going to come out from the unity, but the thing is that everything is, to make it simplified, the one light go through the prism, becomes rainbow, and the rainbow basically goes through the prism, becomes the one light, and every light has its own place, and they are part of the divine source, and all of them are respected in all levels of creation, and they have divinity. All rays of all colors and all beings in the universe have divinity within them, and they are fully honored and respected by the Creator himself. So what has happened to this disharmonious place, and the problem is that you really can mix lights with another, but if you create an artificial Merkaba, because it follows the laws of the universe, it allows new probabilities to exist. So as a result of that, what has happened is that as a result of going through that experience, it allowed for these lights to actually converge and merge and try to converge, because you really can't mix them. They created resistance with one another. So when you look at, let's say, Star Wars is coming out in about a few days, or maybe around December or so, and you have the degrees of darkness, and you got the degrees of light, and they're interacting and converging, and they're resisting, and there's a resistance movement, and there are other movements. Some of them want to destroy one another, but the good guys end up destroying the bad guys. So it's like kind of it's a mirror game, because in order for this reality to happen, it has to create, I would call, fragmentation at the universal level, and at the same time, it has to create. It's like when you're a kid and you are looking into these scopes and you would turn them around and they become like fractalized, like everything was a fractal. So this reality is a fractal-based reality, and it has a phi ratio. I have this jewelry is 45, about 50 million years old, and I'll show it to you. It's ammonia, which is like these are like prehistoric. See if I can bring it a little bit closer with that. So it has a phi ratio, as you can see. You see, so everything in this universe is a phi ratio, and the next step, unless you actually step into your next step, and so you go 1 plus 1 becomes 2, 2 plus 1 becomes 3, and then 3 plus 2 becomes 5, and at the same time, the numbers in itself are, I would say, codes that connect every particle of the universe together. And those codes, what happens is that within those codes, there are possibilities for mirroring codes, which are the parallel dimensions and parallel realities, and thus the choice that you can step in at any point in time. Hi, Emilio. Great to have you. Emilio I met him a couple of months ago. He's a great guy, and we met each other at Mastermind, and it was in Los Angeles, close to the harbor. And the hotel that I met him, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California, was just passing by the hall, and everybody was saying, "Oh, he's here." So I just talked to him and said, "Hi, how's it going?" And he had a bunch of security guards around him and so forth. So that was interesting to run into him. So great to see you, Emilio. Yeah, Santa Monica Hotel, that was a place. Emilio talks about that. So as I was saying, everything is based on a phi ratio, and there's these phi ratios that are in the universe, and you go 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, and then you add up. Drummond talks about that, and it also has created layering, or kind of illusion of separation, because nothing is separated, but it has created multiple parallel realities in which choice, if you make a choice right now, you're going to have a ripple effect on everything in this reality. So every single decision you make, every one of us right now make, has an effect in the future. And although future cannot be sold, that's what these different groups of beings or different rays trying to do, is to kind of control the future of where our reality goes, which is kind of impossible, but they're given a shot. Alper Kaglayan is actually a good friend of mine and based in British Columbia, and he's a Flower of Light and Merkaba teacher, which John Molo talks about, and he teaches that, and he has all these representatives around the world that teaches that. So Alper, who's joined this call, he actually teaches that here in Vancouver. I've never met him, but I would love to meet him in person. We talked over the phone, and it was, I would say, 4 or 5 years ago, and we were talking about the ascension of the planet and what's happening right now and all that. So it's exciting times, and also it's hard times at the same time, because there are resistances right now, even as I speak. So everything comes back to the point of unity, where if you go to the subatomic particles of your being, you're connected to everything and everybody at the same time. And I was, as I was saying, Drombola, if you watch The Birth of the Humanity, talks about a point in the ancient history during Atlantis, where around Bermuda Triangle, there was artificial Merkaba that was created, and there were a group of extraterrestrials from that they have the colony in Mars. They came to this planet. They were not invited, but they kind of came in as a result of I would say anomalies that happen, because when you create a fractal reality, at any point you can create anomalies. And when you look at the structure of light itself, it actually bends by the will of the viewer. So when you have, let's say, a light, it splits itself, and some people, when they look at the light, it becomes a wave. And some people, when you look at the light, it becomes just like a bullet, and it just goes straight. And it shows that there are anomalies in this reality, and the biggest anomaly is the battle of light and dark, or even the inner dark and inner light that every one of us has. And interestingly, we are souls that are of light coming into the bodies that are super dense, and we call them flesh, and we are kind of not used to it, and the body is not too used to this kind of reality. It's kind of like being a Capricorn, where half of your body is a fish and half of your head is a ram, and you can't swim and you can't climb the mountain, and you're stuck in this kind of midpoint, and there's anomaly, and you become the key factor in deciding what that anomaly is, depending on your fate. And fate is the certainty and understanding and knowingness that you have based on the cosmic journey that you had till now, because you're not just a mortal body, you're not a mortal soul. You are, when you connect to the entire cosmos, the entire galactic logos, you are the galactic logos, and you are that powerful divine being that has created everything. And then you realize that you have a choice to make things right. So in terms of the disharmony that is happening as a result of this one probability that we decided to experience, and in universe, like when you look at, if you want to experience your full you, the 360 degrees you got to experience all realities and all also all kind of realities. You can't just experience one reality, because you don't know it all. But if you want to become know-it-all and really understand who you are and rediscover yourself, you gotta experience all probabilities, from the light of the light of the light to the darkest of the darkest of the darkest experiences that you can think of. And this is something everyone basically does agree, everyone. Because everyone of all the beings that are here and are experiencing this reality at this time experience their light of their being, and they experience the struggles that they went through to harmonize without being destroyed, basically. Because there's fear when you have rivals, when you have these 13 groups, everybody's rivaling against one another. You got a lot of struggles. You got a lot of people fearing each other. And fear is the false evidence that is appearing real, as they say. So fear is a false evidence that is appearing real. And once you realize through the galactic logos, through understanding of who you are in connection with all the tribe of the humanity, all the 13 tribes, all the 13 groups that are experiencing this reality in many levels, you realize that there is no fear. And then you can harmonize yourself and find the light and the ray of light that you belong to, and become pure, become united within yourself, become balanced, go back home, wherever home is for you, and go back to full peace, where you can flourish and where you can be the all you can be, basically, be all you can be. So once all of us in this cosmic journey realizes that we, through our internal, basically, knowingness, and through the power that we have, and through the connections that we have, we harmonize, and the part of us that are hurted or killed or destroyed, we're gonna heal it, and we're gonna reverse the effect of that damage that has happened to us. And once you reverse that, you basically re-heal yourself, because you know how to do it. It's just alchemy within yourself, and you are the alchemist, that you can't do anything at any time. Hey, Yolanda. I always see Yolanda doing yoga, and whenever she can, she comes in and joins or watches my videos. Great to have you, Yolanda. And I like your videos. And I know there are reasons. As anything happens, there are bigger reasons, and it's just to understand who we are, what are we experiencing right now, and understand the unity, even when there's polarities. And when there are polarities, we are talking even where we are born either as a male or as a female. So we are not born in this reality as a whole, both male and female. So that becomes a struggle, because we are not understanding, and we are not speaking the same language, and we feel separated as a species, because it creates vibrational differences. When you, in order to be separated, imagine you have a clock spinning in one way, and you have another clock spinning the other way. In truth, if you look at the galaxy or any galactic structure, they have two arms, and those arms are like a swastika. And interestingly, the swastika, the two arms have to counter-rotate at the same time. And that's the most balanced way, and they're together, they're not separated, and those counter-rotation will actually unites them in their divinity of who they are. So one is the light, one is the afterlight, which is kind of, when you have a light, you have a flash, and the flash traverses and becomes an afterlight, and they are interconnected as they rotate. So when we are born as a man and a woman, or we are in different bodies, what happens is that you are always vibrating at either male or at female, and you're not experiencing your both aspects at the same time. So you're not counter-rotating, and you're not creating the divine connections through the divine swastika. And I know swastika is actually used to be in temples of Buddhists, and it was a most sacred symbol. And there's a lot of knowledge behind how it works and how it works, and the technology, the understanding is such an organic thing. But once you tap into that power, it has a power to create unity, and at the same time create the ultimate destruction, which Hitler was working on. So it has a dual effect, because when it magnetizes here, it becomes reality. At the same time, in this reality, there is okay, that's good. I'm back. So there is in this reality there are conflict between these two realities and these two vibrations that I was talking about. So everything comes from the point of unity, but then we are coming into this reality where kind of there is a lot of different realities converge together at the central point. But you got to realize that we are all interconnected. We are all in it together. And if we all don't help in this process, we're going to be stuck here forever, basically. So that's the key. So as I was saying, when there's a flash, there is a shadow of the flash, and they are always together. They're not separated. So in this reality, we're actually experiencing only one aspect of it. And the only way you can kind of experience it is if you were to be reunited with your half, which is everybody's searching for their half. And it's been tough because you are not finding it. I'm not finding it. You're not finding it. So it's becoming really hard because your other half is in the other part of the universe, in a reality that is really hard to get that being into you because of all these convergences that we are having. So the key is to realize that all of us are here together, understand that we are all united no matter what, and there is no fear, because when you're all united there is no fear, and this can be corrected through our faith. That is going to be corrected, and once it's corrected, it's going to go back together. And there's going to be a flash once that happens. And that flash, they call it the solar flash, which actually David Wilcock talks about it. They had it in all the everything. So it's been talked about a lot, but to our forgetfulness, we have forgotten that. So there's a lot of kind of disbelief, and a lot of, they don't know if it's real. But the good thing is that when you look at the structure of time, I'm not supposed to tell this because the time is not right for it, but I'll tell you after we go through this process or the flash. Then I'll go through that after we all go through that basically experience, and I know it's coming. And a part of you knows that you're coming because you're here, you're looking at this, and you're interested in it. Although there are part of us that are always kind of either disbeliefs or goes into actual opposite, tries to you're kind of like a fish. You're kind of all Capricorns. You're half fish, half goats, and basically you can't climb the mountain. You get stuck right in the middle. And the middle is the key, because that's where when you go back to that central point, you understand that everything is interconnected, and you understand that you have full power in what's going to happen right now, and to what we call future, or what we used to call future. But once you collapse the time, present, now, and future becomes one, and basically we glue everything together. And once you glue everything together, there's going to be that flash that I was talking. So this process is going to take a bit of time, because all the people that are actually watching this right now, and everybody who's going to actually watch this in the future, are going to be brought into this process, and they're going to remember that connection, and they're going to be part of the first. I think when you look at the picture of the galaxy, look at the light over there. So that light is a central point. It's going to explode out of nowhere. It's going to be a big bang, and then it's going to create turn counterclockwise. And once it does the counterclockwise rotation, it will create infinite reality. So just by watching it, you're going to remember that you were part of that process, and you're going to initiate that, knowing that is going to happen. And there's going to be 12 more discourses. And once we cover that 12, there's going to be 144 sub discourses of that. So it just all multiplies by 12. And we're going to just go through this very beautifully, and it's going to be an amazing return. And a lot of healing is going to happen as a result of that. And you're fully going to realize your fullness, your wholeness, and your power that you have. To realize that you are the divine, magnificent being that you have been waiting for all your life, and other people didn't recognize that within you, and that was a dilemma. But now, right now, we all have remembered that fact, and together we can make all dreams, whatever that dream that you have, come true. And that's the magic behind this creation. So having said that, I would like to close this, as there are going to be more discourses coming in. So we are all in the front seat of this journey. Exciting times, a lot of healing, a lot of blessings, and it just starts. And there's going to be a 5-year period that we're going to have go through since this Christmas. It's going to create a countdown, a 5-year countdown this Christmas. So that 5-year countdown is going to bring a lot of inner movements, but in the right direction within us and around us. And it's going to be for the betterment of everybody else. So everybody will going to embrace it, because it's been such a long, hard, and life-sucking journey for everybody, basically. And now we're going to just have more life, more power, a lot more. Everything that we wanted to have is going to be there. And the disturbances, the opposite realities, are going to be rebalanced too, and they're going to have their own space and their own reality, as a mirroring effect that we all experienced. Mirroring and that effect or that memory is going to be all stored in that crystal that I was talking about. It's ammonia. These are like the oldest crystal that has happened, like that you can find, and these are like 50 million years old, 45 million years old, and and that's the Fibonacci sequence, because that Fibonacci sequence is the Akashic record, and that holds everything that has happened to our entire creation, and the trust that every angle of our being has with other parts. And once every one of us realize each part, and we establish those trusts one by one, it's going to be, it does going to create a lot of healing, and also healing between opposite sexes, and bringing a lot more balanced relationships, and balanced in a sense that the male leads in a divine way and the female follows in a divine way. There is no like right now, we saw a lot of females that has actually taken the role of men, and some men have been taking the role of they have been feminized. So you can see that there is quite a bit of imbalance, but once you come back into your power, you become the divine masculine, and you'll become the divine feminine, and you're united in the divinity and the central piece, the divine Svatsika, which holds everything together. And it's just it's going to be amazing. It's disbelieving and also amazing at the same time, because look at your hand. You have 5 fingers, and look at where you are. Everything is magical, and we are living in this magical world, which I'm so grateful. Like, we should be grateful to even have this right now, and and the gift of waking up in the morning, having a fresh coffee or tea, or walking outside, looking at the sun, having the sun touches your face. All of that experience is the most magical, most beautiful thing I can think of. And whatever that you enjoyed in your life, and enjoyment is itself is magic, even at small scale. And we are kind of always look at future, and that was the one of the dilemmas that I experienced. And because when you look at the future, you're expecting, oh, this is going to happen. But if you bring everything just right now, like they talk about the power of now. There was a book by Eckhart Tolle, and he's one of the people who actually went to the other side, and because he had a near-death experience, he went outside, he came back in, and then he wrote this book that was the bestseller. But nobody else could, even if you read it, you kind of grasp it, but because you never experience it, it becomes mystical. It says, I would love to experience that, being in the now and just creating out of myself a new reality every moment, where I can become more of myself, and I can have I can be all I can be, basically. And that he fully experienced it, and he went into that state, and that was his ticket outside. But the problem is that all of people that are here, they're kind of stuck, and they're just struggling between those two parts. And the good news is that is happening, and it's going to be amazing. So I would like to thank everybody who's here. Everybody is going to be joining, and we'll see where this journey goes. And after this Christmas, it's going to be downhill, because to this point it was really hard. You're putting you're like pushing this ball above this hill to get to this point. After this 5 years, it's going to be downhill. So it's kind of everything's stuck. Like, even nobody's winning. Like, they had battles in the inner earth, and even then on the outer earth, and in different dimensions, nothing was moving. But now everything is going to move, and everything is going to harmonize. So this point in time is basically just the point, and now we just passed the point. But you're going to fully experience it. It's going to be very much it's going to be a very bright future, and whatever color that means, or whatever ray you are, that's going to be bright in that future too. So it's my honor to be sharing my beingness with you, sharing my unity with you, and realizing that wherever you are at this time, I am fully one with you. Even if you have this belief, you're going to realize it in one way or another. And together we can have even better times experiencing this unity. Okay, have a good night.